Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. Your body is telling you something, probably right now, what it needs, what it doesn't need. And if you feel like you're just kind of misaligned, like things aren't right, or you feel that maybe, your health isn't the best it could be, your body probably told you that a while ago, or it's trying to talk to you right now. So we're going to dig deeper into that. The body language and what you should listen to. She can give us a lot of insight as an international best-selling author and speaker. She's a heart-based energy intuitive. She does Reiki. She does everything. She helps people. She heals. She has so much insight.
That's simple.
Listen to what she has to say. She is Becki Koon, and she's back with us. Hey, Becki, how are you?
I'm good, Steve. How are you doing today?
I'm good. And my body isn't telling me anything today, which is a good thing.
Right.
Because I think it's relatively happy, at least physically. But there's been times, I can totally relate to what we're talking about today, where even a couple of weeks ago, my throat felt weird. It's like, I even went to an ENT the other day, not even kidding, like 3 days ago. And it just felt like when I swallow, it's just like weird. Just like kind of, like a blockage or something. I'm like, well, what's going on here? I don't think it's reflux. And then I saw a friend of mine that I haven't seen in years, and she went through a lot of the same things I went through in our personal journeys. And I said this to her, and she goes, yeah, it's stress. Yeah, had the same thing. And wouldn't you know it, a few days later, it started to go away, and then it went away. And now I know when I'm dealing with too much stress. I've never experienced that. So that now it's one more layer. It's almost like, I have the ulcer and everything flares up from time to time.
Sure.
That's one sign, obviously, that your body's saying, hey, you got stress. You got to cut that back. So now this is another one of my body saying, hey, all right, you weren't listening to the ulcer. I'm going to let you know about this one. I'm going to tell you about this one. And it was definitely stress. And I just went to, factor everything out with the ENT doctor. He scoped down real briefly, and I don't see anything.
Right.
As soon as I walked through the door, I said, I think I figured this one out. But I'm not about me. I'm just sharing this because it is, I would assume, my body's way of saying you got a little too much stress going on. Does that sound about right to you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think most of what we've experienced physically is a manifestation typically of stress. What do they say? 85% of all disease has its origin in stress and trauma. And so the body's kind of keeping score, right? Of what's going on in our life. And a lot of times our body's trying to speak to us. Our body's very intelligent. Like we have wisdom that's carried in our cells and in our body. And it's trying to speak to us all the time. It's just whether we listen or whether we recognize that. We can start listening before physical manifestation if you start becoming aware that there's always more underneath. There's always more underneath the physical symptom. Always.
It's funny when you say physical manifestation, it almost sounds like I'm manifesting stress. I'm not.
Right.
But it's a different use of the word where it manifests a certain way. I'm now programmed to try and manifest what I want. I guess you could manifest less stress. That's something, that I'm sure is attainable, right?
Well, it's attainable because it's how we respond to things. It's how we react to our environment. It's how we experience our world. And every moment we have choice in how we experience that event, that crazy, employer or employee that you work with that drives you nuts. It's how we respond. And that is sometimes you don't feel like we have a choice, but we always have a choice in how we feel about it, how we respond to something. And I think the thing that I would like to share, Steve, this morning is, and we all fall. We all experience this human body. We all experience stress and trauma. There's nobody that escapes that. Nobody. It's just the level.
Yeah.
And it's then our response to that. And how resilient are we to be able to move through and recognize. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't until there's something physical going on.
And then we have to.
And then we have to.
Yeah. Like, for example, again, completely hypothetical. Stress is so impactful. You could be dealing with it for a period of time. Then you have a physical challenge, maybe debilitating, where your body said, nope, no more. And now you have to stop, tap the brakes, regroup, heal. But during that time, you don't have that stress anymore because you've been taken out of the game by the coach. Your body being the coach.
Right. The body. Yeah.
Your body. I've heard this, and have you heard this? So we believe in energy. Energy is everything. We're energy. But I've heard that if you're dealing with stress and challenges and things like that, that it can go right down to the cellular level within your body. Like,
Yes.
right. I mean, it's not just, well, I have stress, I have an ulcer. No, every part of your body is dealing with what you're dealing with, whatever it might be. I mean, we're centering on stress here, but could be anything. And
it could be anything.
It goes that deep.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I experience it when I'm working with people. I experience what happens when they've got trauma in their life, and they'll get on the table with me, and I'll literally feel their cells. And I know it's hard to understand, but I'm tuning into what their body's trying to say to me, what the body will reveal. Okay, because it's always trying to reveal something to us. And for example, I had a woman who had been in the service, really, really traumatized by her time in the service, saw things that were, horrible, and had PTSD, post-traumatic stress, big time. And so she just couldn't get a handle on it. She'd been experiencing a lot of physical ailment. The doctors were at a loss of what to do. They ran all kinds of tests. They'd done the gamut of things to try to support her, and she still wasn't quite there. She came to me because it was a last resort for her. She was like, I don't know what more to do. So I thought I would try this energy healing. She gets on the table, and I can feel almost every cell in her body, like almost like vibrating, like almost like shaking. I could almost feel the tension and the stress. And so I got her on the table, and all I did was gently talk to her body and reminded her body that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And we were able to get to a place with her that she hadn't been for years, and that she was able to just kind of calm herself. She went into a state of calm that she hadn't felt, and her body responded. And so
that sounds so nice.
Well, it's, it's our bodies will try to speak to us and share with us what's happening, because not only are we feeling it emotionally and mentally, perhaps spiritually, but we're also feeling it physically. And the physical manifestation of a stress is kind of the last thing to show up, and yet it's the longest thing to sometimes to heal and to move through. But it's amazing. Our bodies are amazing. I try to tell people that all the time. It doesn't matter what you're experiencing. And I'm not speaking just by somebody who hasn't been through it. Like, I've had stage 3 cancer, and I had to move through a lot in healing that within myself. I did it through, I did surgery. I worked with doctors. I did alternative healing, like any and all kinds of alternative healing that made sense to me. I talked to my body, Steve, constantly. I was constantly in dialogue with, okay, I get it. I got cancer after my husband of 4 years passed. My grief was overwhelming. My body was tired. I was stressed. There was a lot going on in my life. And okay, now I'm going to be dealing with my own cancer, and what I did to walk through that. So working with my body though, Steve. I was never upset with my body. And that, I think that's really a key, that a lot of people, like, we get so frustrated with what's going on physically with us, or we're upset with our body. And yet the body hears us. The body knows what we're thinking. It's very wise. And so instead of like being frustrated with my body having cancer, I said, what are you trying to teach me? What are you showing me? What do I need to do differently in my life? And my body responded. I was very, very blessed to be able to move through the cancer, be on the other side of it now for over 2 years, right?
Wow.
And doing well, and doing very well. I feel more alive now, Steve, than I did in my 50s.
I get you. And I would say that a year and a half ago, because I really dug into myself, got a trainer, started working out. I was still going through some major challenges.
Okay.
But it was all good. Now I feel like, I kind of derailed and I have to get back to the more of the self-care thing. But since then, other challenges have come up. So I want to ask you,
okay,
do you feel, and you went through a lot with your husband's passing, do you feel that if you didn't have all of that emotional stress and everything that came along with it, which is perfectly understandable, do you think that you might not have found cancer?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility.
Okay.
I've worked with enough clients now to know that those kinds of things that impact us, those huge traumas that impact us, are sometimes so overwhelming that we can't kind of process them through our mental, emotional state or our spiritual state. And yet the impact is still there. The impact is still held in the body. We hold emotions in our cells, in our body. Trauma, we hold trauma in our cells, in our body. So are the possibilities that had I not gone through some of all that was going on? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's true. But I did it. I experienced trauma, Steve. I experienced loss. I experienced extreme heartbreak, and then my own physical challenge, and yet moved through it. I'm here on the other side, like sharing with people, we all have the potential to find within us that light and that awareness to health and healing and commitment. Like, I really had to commit to life, right? Like you did. You committed to your life and well-being by getting into the gym and eating healthier and doing those things that you knew would support you.
And it's funny what you're saying here. And like, here I am saying that, and I got to get back to it. And I know I do. We all know the answer. We all know what we should be doing.
We do.
Just listen to yourself and your body.
Yes.
But a lot of times this stuff gets in the way. Like, even today I shouldn't say should, but
could have.
I got up, I was a little tired. I could have maybe went for a bike ride this morning. I've been doing that lately till it gets really cold out. And then schedules change. I had extra time, but I was already pivoting in a different direction. But I know what I need to do to get it done and get it done right. It's funny. I have a friend who's a local songwriter, and there's one song I love, and I refer back to it. And the lyrics are, the core is still the same, but there's a few more cracks there in my shell. And we're the same people, but sometimes there's things happen around us and within us, and like, picture you're a rock, and we can all be rocks in a lot of these situations. We can, doesn't happen often. And now, a boulder got chipped away from us, and another, call it cancer, whatever it might be. And then, sometimes you rebuild. You're in a different shape now because those pieces went away, and figuratively speaking. But it's really listening to your body. And I more and more I learn, study, talk to people like you, that we have the ability to heal ourselves.
Yeah. Well, we're designed to heal. I mean, we're designed to be able to go to that place of healing within the body physically. We're this vessel that has this potential to create miracles. Really, truly, we have that ability. We forget, Steve. We forget that we have that ability. We lose power. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy when you're in the middle of something physically not when you're not well, when you're feeling bad, when you're in the middle of some kind of disease or health crisis. It's not easy to access that awareness and that knowing. And sometimes the journey is what it is. Like Jack's journey, my husband's journey was the death process. We knew that. He knew that it was just his time. And as hard as that was to walk through, he did it with amazing grace. And so it's, but still, we know miracles happen. And so I think the thing that I've found, Steve, within myself, going through all of that and with my clients, is that the more that I become aware of my body, my physicality, the more I'm aware of my spiritual essence.
Yes, yes, you're right. It's kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's because you get to a point in your life where now you're hearing your body for the first time. It's telling you what it needs or what it doesn't need. It's showing you what's going on here. And that whole process makes you, I think, even more spiritual. Like you're just more connected with yourself and things around. And what you're saying, I was thinking about Jimmy Buffett yesterday. Yeah. And I mean, here's the guy who he knew what he was up against.
Yeah.
And for 4 years, he was doing concerts, didn't let the public know. And right until the end, like he had a house on Long Island where I am.
Okay.
On the East End, call it near the Hamptons, right? Just for reference. A town called Sag Harbor. And my friend owns a radio station there.
Okay.
And Jimmy came by, this was, I want to say mid-July, and did a Facebook Live interview as he released his new song. I think it was called Wait for the Gummy to Kick In. Hysterical. And like I watched that video like 8 times, and you know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
But he's still doing it.
Yeah. He's
still showing that positivity. It's just, that what he was all about, billions of dollars, billionaire. And his core is still the same. I'm here to make people happy. I do it through music and my culture that I created. And here I am stopping by this local radio station, knowing that I'm probably going to be gone in about 2 months, doing my thing again. And you would not even know, like looking at him, I maybe I overanalyze, but I'm looking at the video. I'm like looking at him and his mannerisms and how he looks, and you wouldn't even know. And then I got, maybe epiphany, but he passed on the last weekend of summer. It was almost like,
right, perfect for him, right?
That was, write the book. Right. There it is. Yeah. But I think that personifies, just who you are and your sense of spirituality, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and I think you get sometimes when those things happen, when you have to question yourself, or your body stops you and you have to assess your life and your mortality. I think you do find there's something like a lot of you hear a lot of people say cancer was a catalyst, or cancer changed my life, or this disease or this accident, whatever it is. There's like an assessment of, wow, so what is life for me? What is happening? Where am I? And finding a deeper, even more profound love of life and the moments that you have. Like, Steve, I have no idea how long I'm going to be here. None of us do. None of us really know. I just want to live it to the best of my ability, to the fullest while I'm here. And I think he was probably the same.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Because that's what he was about. And everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody's
I
different.
just had a memory, and to the point where your body can heal itself. I remember this was probably 12 years ago. Remember, it's July 4th weekend, went up in the attic, pulled downstairs, garage, went to go get some boogie boards, going to go to the beach. Coming down the stairs, and I slipped and basically rode the stairs down, like massive road rash just from the stairs. And then my foot impacted on the concrete.
Oh, dang.
Didn't break anything, but it created a wart, and it was just like uncomfortable. I guess that stuff happens. I've never had one before. Podiatrist, go there. Number of visits. He's doing stuff. It's not going away. I'm like, well, what do we do now? It's just like uncomfortable. A shoe was on, and he said to me, well, you need to will it to go away. I'm like, what? Will it to go away?
Wow.
He goes, I'm serious. And I'm thinking, quack, weirdo, get out of this office fast. But I took the advice, and I mentally thought, I need you to go away. Please heal. Focused on my foot. I'm not kidding. 3 days later, it was essentially gone. 5 days later, it was gone. Coincidence? Wacky? I don't know, but
does it matter?
No, but I'm fact-based. What's the evidence? I did this. He wasn't able to get rid of it. I used this, focused on it. It worked. To me, my body was listening, and it worked.
Well, and Steve, sometimes that is the missing piece, the recognition of the energy component. Like we have great tools for our physical body, a lot of great stuff to support us mentally and emotionally. And sometimes the missing piece is, what is the message? What's my higher awareness? What is spirit trying to tell me? What is my body holding that needs to be recognized and released? Sometimes like I had a woman on the table, her ankle was bothering, her foot was bothering her. She couldn't walk, like it was her right foot. She was holding the stress of her marriage in her foot. She felt like she couldn't move forward. She felt like she was stuck in something. And we started working on, okay, well, it's more like, let's work on your foot and the pain in your foot, but let's also work on how do we move through releasing this frustration and anger that you have? How do we let that go? How do we move through that energetically? And you know what? Started moving, started happening. Her foot started healing right away. She'd been working for months and months. Okay. So same kind of scenario. I don't understand how it works necessarily, Steve, but sometimes that's a key.
And purging that stuff that's in us, whether it's, I call it the emotional bucket, where it just gets filled up and there's no more to be put in there. I read this recently that when you've got that, like we've got, pent up negative energy situation, whatever it might be, trauma, the energy and effort that you use to suppress it is taking its toll on you. And I never thought of it in that way. I thought more of just, it's just bottled up and you got to get rid of it. Cry, whatever you got to do. But you are using your resources of this energy that we talk about to squash it down. And now that's depleting, whatever you got left to fight off certain things or whatever it might be. And I never thought of it in those terms.
Right. That's so true though.
Yeah, right.
It is. It takes energy to hold something tight.
Yeah.
It takes energy to do that. And yet a release can just be so freeing for the body. So freeing. So for me, I held grief. I held my grief of losing my soulmate in my breast tissue. That's where that was concentrated, in that tumor, in that breast tissue. A lot of women who've experienced loss end up with breast cancer. no science behind that. Please don't quote me on that.
But my brain is saying, I wish they would study that, because that's,
I've wondered the same thing. I would be fascinated to know, right? How many people have experienced big trauma that end up with something.
I guess it's challenging to study that because it's subjectionable.
Yeah.
It's what do you consider trauma? Everybody processes and internalizes it differently. So it's kind of a moving target. It's not, true fact-based data, that kind of thing, but definitely interesting. There's something there.
Well, and I think there's a different barometer for everybody with what they experience, how resilient they are, how their physical body responds to things. It's a mixed bag. We're all unique. Every one of us on this planet, we are a unique expression of that God force within. And we have the opportunity to work with that within us, that energy, that source, that light, that power. We all have access to. It's just a matter of understanding or being aware.
Yeah, you're right. It's being aware. And I guess we become aware when our body's breaking down. It's like, ding, hello, you need to listen to this. With that energy, and we have a minute left. I don't know where the time went here.
Oh, no, it flies. Okay.
With that energy that could be stuck within us, that's something that you can clear out through different modalities, right?
Yep. Sound healing, energy healing, Reiki. There's all kinds of things that you can do to begin to move and allow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's for those who think it's just crazy and woo-woo and all of that. What do you got to lose? And
that's what I think. What do you got to lose?
It's not 2023, and we're still talking about all of this stuff. It has not gone away because it's been here for centuries. If it didn't work, it would have been gone a long time ago. It would have been, back in the turn of the century, the 1900s, with the covered wagon and the fair and the guy, I'm going to heal you. If that was all part of that, that would have been gone. Snake oil salesman, whatever. No, we're still talking about it, and the awareness level is growing exponentially right now for all of the stuff that we're talking about. So
that's right.
Because it works. Because it works. We just need to practice it. How do we connect with you? How do we find you?
Go to my website, BeckiKoon.com, BeckiKoon.com.
Yeah. And start that conversation, because could you imagine you going through stuff, your body's going through stuff, and in a short period of time, you could feel so much better, lighter, more clarity, healed. Why not?
Not try it. Why not try it?
Yeah, absolutely. Becki, always great talking with you. Always learn a lot. And even for me, as a student of this stuff, it even backs up what I hear and what I see. And your energy is really just amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
You can feel it. Yeah. All right. Look forward to talking next time we get together.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcasts on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes. and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.